The Choice of Love, Part 2. Jade Greene was at a crossroads, torn between two men who had both captured her heart in very different ways. Tonight, as she headed to the exclusive rooftop bar to meet Darnell, she felt the weight of her decision looming. Darnell was a sophisticated entrepreneur whose success and confidence radiated from him. Being with him felt electric, a whirlwind of excitement and intensity that was impossible to ignore. And yet, there was Marcus, the warm, steady dreamer who made her feel truly cherished. As she entered the bar, Jade was determined to find clarity, to know where her heart truly lay. Jade met Darnell at an exclusive rooftop bar overlooking the glittering city skyline. He was already there, dressed in a sleek tailored suit that fit him like a glove, radiating confidence and sophistication. As she walked up, Darnell's eyes lingered on her, his gaze intense and full of desire. It sharpened as it found her, a slow smile spreading across his face as he stood, greeting her with a kiss on the cheek that lingered just long enough to send a shiver down her spine. "Jade," he murmured, with a slight smirk, his eyes smoldering as he took her in. "You look stunning. I didn't think you could ever look more stunning, but here we are." Standing to pull her chair close, her heart fluttered at his words and she felt herself drawn in, captivated by the intense energy that seemed to pulse around him. They sat, and as he poured them each a glass of wine, his hand brushed hers, lingering a moment before he let it go, leaving her skin tingling with anticipation. Their conversation flowed, charged with flirtation and mutual attraction. Every glance, every touch between them was like a spark igniting. As they laughed and shared stories, his fingers found their way to her thigh under the table, tracing slow circles that sent heat spreading through her body. By the time they'd finished dinner, the tension between them had built to a near breaking point. Darnell stood, extending his hand to her, and with a smile, she placed her hand in his, allowing him to guide her to a secluded corner of the rooftop where the city lights glittered around them. He wrapped an arm around her waist, pulling her close as his other hand gently brushed a strand of hair from her face. "I want you, Jade," he whispered, his voice a low murmur against her ear, his hand tracing a line down her back. "I want us to take on the world together." Before she could respond, his lips were on hers, deep and insistent, filled with a passion that made her pulse race. His hand slid down her back, holding her close as he kissed her. With an intensity that took her breath away, she felt herself melting into him, her body responding instinctively as his hands roamed over her curves, possessive yet tender. Darnell led her inside, guiding her to his suite. As they entered, he paused to look at her, his eyes dark with desire, as if giving her one last chance to pull back. But Jade didn't hesitate. She reached up, pulling him close, her lips finding his again as he backed her against the wall, his hands exploring her with a fervent need. His kisses traveled from her lips to her neck, lingering at the sensitive spot just below her ear, making her shiver as his hands traced every curve, every inch of her. His touch was both firm and tender, a mix of power and gentleness that left her breathless. She closed her eyes, surrendering to the sensation of his hands on her skin, the feel of his strong arms wrapped around her, holding her as if he never wanted to let go. The intensity between them built as they moved toward the bedroom, their kisses growing deeper, more urgent. Darnell's hands slipped to her waist, pulling her close as he laid her down, his eyes never leaving hers as he leaned over her, his gaze filled with admiration and desire. He took his time with her, savoring every moment, every touch, his hands and lips exploring her with a reverence that made her heart pound. Their connection was electric, each touch, each kiss heightening the chemistry between them. As they moved together, Jade felt completely alive, every part of her attuned to him. In his embrace, she felt both exhilarated and cherished, drawn into a world of passion and intensity that was as thrilling as it was all-consuming. In the quiet after, as they lay tangled together, Jade felt a warmth and satisfaction that was undeniable. But as her breathing steadied, a soft ache settled in her heart, a reminder of the gentle love waiting for her on the other side of a town. She looked at Darnell, his strong features softened in the dim light, and felt a deep admiration for the man he was. But she knew there was something missing, something that only Marcus's quiet, unwavering love could offer. Later that night, as she stood outside Marcus's door, Jade felt a familiar sense of warmth and ease wash over her. When he opened the door, she found herself face to face with him, his relaxed smile and deep, warm eyes melting away any lingering doubts. Dressed in a simple t-shirt and jeans, Marcus looked at her like she was the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen. "Jade," he murmured, reaching for her hand, guiding her inside. The moment their hands touched, a spark ignited between them, a soft, comforting heat that wrapped around her like a blanket. They sat on the couch, talking about everything and nothing, the gentle hum of music filling the silence between words. Marcus leaned in closer, his voice dropping to a whisper as he looked into her eyes. "I don't have much, but everything I have is yours if you want it," he said softly, his hand coming up to brush a stray curl from her face. Her heart ached with the tenderness of his words. As his fingers traced her cheek, his lips brushed against hers, a kiss that was slow, deep, and filled with longing. His hands moved down to her waist, pulling her closer, and she felt herself melt into him, her body pressing against his, craving more. Their kisses grew hungrier, more intense, as he laid her back on the couch, his body covering hers in a way that felt safe, protective. His lips traced a path from her mouth to her neck, to the soft curve of her shoulder, leaving a trail of heat in their wake. Her hands roamed over his back, feeling the strength of him, the raw masculinity that had drawn her in from the start. "Jade," he whispered, his breath warm against her skin as his hands explored her curves, each touch sending a new wave of desire through her. "I want all of you. I want us to build something real." Their bodies moved together in a slow, sensual rhythm, each touch and kiss charged with passion and intimacy. In Marcus's arms, she felt cherished, loved, and completely seen. He took his time with her, every movement unhurried, savoring each moment as if it were a gift. As the first light of dawn crept into the room, Jade woke up nestled in Marcus's arms, her heart full and her mind clear. She knew she had found something far more valuable than power or prestige. She'd found love, real, grounding, all-encompassing love. She kissed Marcus gently, watching him smile as he pulled her closer. In that quiet moment, Jade knew that this was her future. With Marcus, she could build a life that was rich in love, simplicity, and mutual dreams. She had no regrets, only a deep sense of peace. Jade picked up her phone, sending a brief message to Darnell. "You're an amazing man, but love found where I belong." With that final message, Jade turned off her phone, letting the rest of the world fade away as she leaned back into Marcus's embrace, ready to start a life together, filled with love, passion, and the quiet joy of knowing she was exactly where she was meant to be.